Hello and welcome to This Contains Garlic. You're here with your host Georgia Garlic
Mark Garlic.
and we're back. It's been a while. I don't even want to know how many weeks. I'm just not going to look back. We're just going to look forward. Why is that? It's because life just got really busy with work, to be quite honest with you. Our routines have changed quite a lot. So like in the last since what, end of January,
Yes.
our routines have changed like even more so. So it's just requiring us to
Change of routine,
change.
change in environment.
Yeah, and so I guess every time it's like sit down to do the podcast, it's just there's a million other things to get done. But today we want to talk about something that I was actually having a conversation with a client about, which is all really about sort of like a healthy diet. I was asked the other day, um, would you say that somebody that consumes a healthy diet on a day-to-day basis is more likely to be able to manage their weight for a long-term, period, i.e., lifelong, rather than somebody that obviously consumes highly calorie dense or palatable foods, and like what my thoughts were on it. And I was like, do you know what? That's a very good question because why is that, Mark?
I think it's a very good question because it is a question that is steeped in diet culture where we have been exposed to different types of narratives that certain foods are really healthy and certain foods are superfoods and certain food should be put in a hierarchy of good versus bad, which essentially negates the most important element when it comes to managing your weight, which is your overall metabolic inputs and outputs, or the balance between how many calories you're expending and how many calories you're consuming.
And I think, obviously, a lot of people are not very educated in that energy balance, say, but I mean, I consult with a lot of people who say to me,
Mm.
I don't really understand why I'm like either putting on weight or I've gained so much weight when I eat such a healthy diet.
Correct.
And you're like, okay, so take me through like what your version of a healthy diet is. And
Mm.
obviously speaking, that would be like something like salmon fillets, nuts, like peanut butter, acai bowls, all of the stuff that I guess all the added chia seeds and
Mm. Mm.
avocado and I had like a
Yeah.
7 egg omelette and all of these things which I think we've been told all the way
Mm.
through our lives, like we need to be consuming these regularly if we want to be having a
Mm.
nutrient dense diet or you want to be healthy.
Mm-hmm.
But what people are very unaware of is the energy. Most of these foods
Mm.
are coming like that. What people say is healthy is actually mainly coming from dietary fats. I find what people say to us, so I'm eating a really healthy diet, would be like, okay, what are you eating? Well, for lunch I'll have like salmon fillet, and then I'll have like some avocado, and then I'll have like a side of like grains, and then I'll have like a dressing on that with some olive oil and some balsamic.
Mm.
And you're
Mm.
like, okay, perfect, really nutritious, not to dismiss that. But do you know you've just literally consumed like 1,200 calories worth of healthy food when you think in your brain, this is going to make me lose weight because I've been told that if I eat healthy,
Mm-hmm.
I'm then going to be able to maintain or
Correct.
lose weight. And I
Correct.
think, this obviously does stem down to education, in my opinion. I don't think enough people understand how to cook, how to put meals together.
Mm.
I also find that in this day and age, like something that's really frustrating myself as like I
Mm.
guess a qualified professional in nutrition, when there's a very big difference between like tracking your calorie intake, for example, and I've said this before, like via like my Fitness Pal or our app if you're a client or whatever, and you're tracking something like branded stuff. So you're like, okay, well, I've just eaten, 2 pieces of this, or I've just had a sandwich, or I've just had a can of this, or I've just had that. It's like almost a very lazy way of understanding what you're putting in your body, because actually, where you learn the most when it comes to nutritional tracking is when you actually are weighing that food to understand portion sizes, rather than relying on the back of the packet of nutritional
Mm.
information to dictate that. Like,
Mm.
not only the other day, I was doing it for a nutritional client in London, and I was like, wait, they literally had it on the board of, so I, you know, for some clients I'll go, you know, if they're premium clients, they'll go through like restaurant choosing and stuff, like on the go food that's around their office or whatever. And, you know, they had it inside of the shop. They had as like a little notice thing next to the side salad. It said obviously the macros on it. And I was like, wait, I was like, okay, so they're saying that's 127 calories per portion. Cool. Well, why does it have like 16 grams of protein, 35 grams of carbs, and then like 20 grams of fat? Because that's not going to equal 127 calories. And you're sat there going, okay, well, who's actually doing all this nutritional information? And I do find, linking this back to like healthy food, there's so much marketing towards eat this, it's so healthy, or guys, like, you know, don't get me started on the high protein. Like the high protein vibes is driving me insane at the moment.
I think the reality is, when it comes to putting the numbers on the board or writing them down for clients, or when you go into manufacturing a product that goes to market, you know, they don't, for example, count certain types of fiber, for example, because they assume, the assumption from a nutritional point is that certain types of fiber can't be digested by the gut, hence the reason why you can then subtract the energy from those fiber particles out of the general total of calories and carbohydrates on the nutritional label.
One company that did
so
that.
they give you a 20% margin of error. So, you know, you've always got to take into consideration, when you do even see the calories represented somewhere, it's always...
Yeah, but I think there was one company that did that. It was Halo Top, the ice cream company.
Yeah,
They and they put on the front of their packet that it was like X amount of calories for a whole tub, but actually they were missing like a very large element of it. But I mean, like, look, I think, you know, you're more likely, if you consume healthier food on a day-to-day basis, to have a better quality of life. Do not get me wrong. The difference in individuals between eating a healthy, nutrient-dense diet versus eating the opposite of that is obviously how you feel. It all comes down to that, because your macronutrients, you know, we say that calories or energy will dictate your progress in the sense of weight, you know, but macronutrients are going to dictate how you feel on a day-to-day basis. So obviously you've got a really poor nutrient-less diet.
Thing is, like, everyone also just always looks at it very in a binary, very standpoint, for everything's black and white. Like, you can't, you know, there's... like, most people don't necessarily swing either way. It's like generally down the middle.
But also, I think there's so many people tell you, like, oh, if you eat this and add this on and add this in, and that's a problem, because you might not necessarily consume that already, and then that's additional energy just being intake. You know, so I have a client who's a very high performing, like, in the finance world. And she was like, oh, I really wanted a cookie, you know, in the afternoon. I said, oh, why don't you have one? Like, you know, you can schedule that in with what, you know, you've got a sweet treat on your, you know, on your plan and stuff like that. Like, why don't you have it? She's like, oh, I just had a moment. So instead, like, I got a packet of cashew nuts and, like, I ate the whole bag. And I was like, okay, so we're talking like maybe like a 150 calorie, 200 calorie cookie versus you've just eaten 1,000 calories. It's so easy to do with nuts. But and I said, what made you choose the nuts? And she said, well, I just thought it was healthier. And I was like, yeah, I get that, because other people are like, eat nuts. Do you know what I mean? Eat this.
But do you
it's
see
not.
how all the narrative has been spun by mainstream media to paint all these different food groups into you know, putting these food groups on a pedestal that then drives the narrative of, oh, there is protein in nuts, so for me to get my how many times have people said this to us? Oh, I'm looking to get my protein up, I'm having peanut butter on my bread.
Yeah, I know, but that's also nothing, because people say nuts are a great source of protein.
There you go.
When more vegan life came in, that also got pumped quite a lot.
No,
but I mean, I specifically remember being really, like, when I went on a keto diet, God Christ, never again. I literally had no energy. But no, it wasn't that. I was following a really strict meal plan, and I thought to myself, fuck, I'm literally, all I want to do is raid, like, at least eat like a mega sized bag of chocolate buttons. Like, just don't even let me started. Like, And I instead was like, oh, do you know what? I'll just in that moment in the supermarket in a work break, I was like, do you know what? I'll just get the honey roasted cashews. That seems healthier. Obviously, fucking delicious. But what I had literally just inhaled would have been better, probably, to me to have consumed the chocolate buttons, or really what I'd wanted, rather than like literally gone. Those really are very calorie dense. Honey roasted. That's almost like so unenjoyable sometimes when you're like, Christ, why? Like, you know, they now sell
like an endless.
They sell those packets
like
of
an
like
endless vacuum for.
isn't like 25 grams of nuts in like Pret or something like that. You're like, what is that? Do you know what I mean? It's still like 100 calories. You're like, that's misery. You know, and you could have like 100 calories of like hard-boiled sweets or something. In my opinion, at least they'd last longer.
Yeah.
Like, literally. But no, I do think it's an interesting point because, you know,
we've seen it tons and
so
tons of
much.
times, especially when working with vegetarians and vegans historically, where the assumption is, going by general diet culture narrative, those are really essentially quote unquote healthy diets where the vast majority of your consumption's coming from plants, and
I could
people
not
were like,
disagree
well, I'm
more.
eating, well, this, I'm not agreeing or
No, I'm saying
disagreeing
I couldn't
again, but
disagree
with
more
the
with
case
the fact-
studies that we had worked with, I am eczema, I'm overweight, hence, but I've adopted, this quote unquote healthy nutritional interventions by going plant-based and by making the requisite substitutions.
I don't think it's plant-based, it was vegan. When people went into like, no, I
Not
completely...
plant-based, but having plant-based alternatives to their
Which
general...
are most of the time highly processed.
But again, it's one of those things where you would make the assumption that you would see your metrics, your health metrics, your metabolic health metrics improve, thus going on a quote-unquote healthier diet, but the vast majority of people with having not understood the impact of energy balance, regardless of whatever nutritional interventions you're taking, saw their health metrics regress and were very confused by why that was the case.
Yeah, because what happens naturally when somebody just chooses to do something like a vegan or a vegetarian diet, like vegetarian is slightly different because there's so many variations of vegetarian. You know, some people eat like dairy and eggs, some people sometimes have fish, like, do you know what I mean? Like, some people are very strict vegetarian, but you know, when people went vegan, the biggest issue I saw with helping clients was the fact that like nobody understood how to actually cook a vegan meal. Instead it was like, right, I'll go and get a vegan burger, do you know what I mean? Something that's like like really ultra processed. Like the thing is though, I hate to be one of those Debbie Downers and everything in moderation, but honestly speaking, they are so processed it's alarming. Like look at something like Beyond Meat, like that stuff's not, it's not great, like in the sense of so nobody understood, how am I going to get these sources? Like corn is always quite great, it's fine, do you know what I mean? Soy mince, soy, that's quite a straight basic meal. But I think the more people were like, oh, I've gone vegan, I'm having a vegan burger instead of a beef burger. But again, that also opened up the fact when people do go vegan, what happens in the diet is the proteins drops significantly, like to sometimes like 20-30 grams a day, from where you are normally with meat, which could be for your average person maybe 80 grams, 90 grams, or like, if you're somebody that actually, cares about your protein intake, you're probably going to be much higher than that. And then what happens is, carbohydrate intake, triples, because majority of protein sources in a vegan and vegetarian diet don't just contain protein, they contain a huge amount of carbohydrates as well. So every food you're consuming has got like an almost like unbalanced approach to it. And then also high dietary fats, where are you getting the good fats from? This is where like the nuts, the protein, the avocado, the olive oil.
A lot of the people a lot of the clients were highlighting that was where the vast majority of the palatability of the diet originated.
Yeah, literally.
So then, you are putting olive oil on your salads and your vegetables, and you're putting the condiments that are required, and the avocados and the 9
tahini
calories
and
per
the hummus
gram.
And the yeah, like it's pretty insane. Like how, like sometimes I do think I'm astounded. You know what I'm astounded most by is just how many calories are in restaurant food. I just cannot understand why they need to make
But
it
I also
that.
feel like people are
I'm
eating out more so now than ever, and it is having a impact on their metabolic
Oh
health.
my God, significantly. And I just don't think people are seeing this. Like, but the thing is though, I find that, with restaurant food, naturally, obviously, it's out of your control as to, what's actually put in that food. But I'm a firm believer, especially in the last, say, like 10 years with the rise of, I guess, like social influence. I'm fairly certain with the way that most humans' brains work, especially around food or somebody that really enjoys eating and can't really manage their weight very well. If it says what it says on the packet, you'll eat it anyway. And so I say this all the time,
Sure.
like, why can't, like, an on the go, like, people are like, oh, that's so miserable. Why can't you have, like, full fat yogurt? I'm not saying you can't have full fat yogurt, but then also I look at the metrics of the whole population of the UK and I go, well, why are we all morbidly obese? Like, literally taking up the NHS waiting line, one after the next. So actually, if you looked at something like an on-the-go, like Pret granola pot yogurt, do you think somebody's actually significantly going to notice the taste difference between a raspberry coulis that's got half the amount of sugar, or like is actually, you know what I mean, has been made with a less
Most
refined
probably,
sugar,
yeah.
with a fat-free yogurt? No, they won't. They won't notice the difference because what they're buying is the on the go. I'm not saying that somebody doesn't go to a restaurant and go, right, I want to eat this, it needs to be good. I'm saying when on the go food becomes just a bit stupid because people aren't doing that. Oh, I'm absolutely
think it's
desperate for yogurt and
necessarily
granola.
it's
It's
the-
the option, it's there,
I don't-
it's accessible, and they eat it for what
I
it
don't.
says.
I don't necessarily think it's the on-the-go food that's the problem.
That is the
though.
problem.
I don't think so. I think it's the restaurant-based food where people.
Yeah, but
are
not
going
everybody's
for
not everybody can
dinners and
afford to
lunches
eat in
and-
restaurants all the time. But I do think, in the middle class, you can say that, like, why, for example, when we used to look at the stats back in obesity or clinical obesity in the UK, it used to be lower socioeconomic classes of people that would struggle the most, and that was always due to the affordability of things and accessibility. Now the problem is it's now worked on, it's completely worked its way into the middle class because middle class are the ones that have got more financial income to a degree. Do you know what I mean? They're in a higher earning bracket, which means they can afford to go and eat out at restaurants, buy food out, not worry about, tapping the card for another on-the-go
Deliveroos.
croissant or, and it is worrying. Like I do say to people, like I've had clients who will go out of their way to literally sabotage themselves to like another degree, and I'm like, what you are doing is effectively binge eating, like clinically. And they're like, no, I just really like eating out. I just really like eating, but you can eat out like once a week, and you don't have to eat every meal in a restaurant, like every meal, then the snack, then the bakery, then this. Like it's not normal behaviour. But I think if you can afford to do it, it's so easy now. If you live in a city, oh my God, it doesn't take much because we were only walking around, Southwest London, West London, for work, and like there's about 95 million options literally in front of
Yeah,
you.
it's quite literally.
It smells delicious everywhere you walk past. So obviously sense is a massive stimulator for some people. And it goes from, oh, I'm not actually that hungry and this is just my day-to-day basis, to eating like a double stacked like donut muffin at like, 9 a.m. with like a caramel latte, and then, 500 millilitres of orange juice. The list goes on, and you've literally, before you
That's
even sat at your
1900
desk,
calories. Yeah.
you've literally seen off like. And the thing is, though, I'm very encouraging of making sure that people eat adequate calories on a day-to-day basis because I just don't think it's you can't adhere to low calories long term. But I just think that people just have no idea like where their calories are effectively going, and when you tell people, tracking food doesn't just come down to scan your Pret sandwich, do you know what I mean? Or your M&S on the go, or your,
Like a
Chipotle.
ready-cooked meal, yeah.
Yeah, like it needs to actually be like, what is in this? Because when you go out and you're like, oh my God, I'm meant to be losing weight, I've got no idea what to eat. Oh my God, stress, do you know what I mean? You would know what to eat and how to choose and how to portion if you learned it. And I still just don't think many people are willing to do that. It's like everything, it's become the shortest distance to get anything in life. Do you know what I mean? Not in the
feel
sense
like
of work or like a,
yeah, but that's human nature to always travel the path of least resistance. It's always going to be the case.
yeah, I know, but then can we not see how that path of least resistance is what that's doing? Like, it's not exactly having a positive effect.
No.
But what I'm saying is that, like, I do think if you understand that you're like, you wonder why, like, people are, it's the highest amount of people off work with like lower back pain, which is all linked to weight problems majority of the time, hip issues, all of these things where people are signed off work and, companies are still paying for their salary. And, the government's like, well, we could just give everyone a Ozempic, do you know what I mean? Or we could just, do nothing and just hope that they all just come around and they all have some medicine at some point and they can just drug themselves up and just come to work even if they're in pain anyway. But if they just addressed head on with those that are responsible for feeding a nation of people, like, there has to be a responsibility, like, on the people. I say this because, like, so many people get on the go food, like, I mean, honestly, so many people will get coffee, sandwich, salad, you name it. And I just think that you would pretty much understand if you were based in a location, like, what your demographic was of customer. Like, surely there's a responsibility where you're like, okay, these people are working individuals that, like, need to be, like, vaguely healthy and have a good quality of life.
But there are some places like that. Like, what about that lady that we used to train, her husband owns that franchise that does healthy food?
Which one?
Farmer J. That's
yeah, but that's not.
like
but I wouldn't agree with that.
No?
I wouldn't agree with that. Like, it's all like, why? I was speaking to a client about this the other day because she works in a corporate and she was like, I don't understand. Like, I just want to have. There's a protein source, there's a carb source, there's some fucking vegetables, do you know what I mean? Or some salad or whatever. Make our lives easier. Instead, they've now changed it in their corporation where it's like a potato jus with, like, a half chicken thigh with a leg. Do you know what I mean? And she's like, I don't want to be eating that at lunch. I just want to know what I'm eating, where I'm getting it from. Otherwise, she wants to make the most of the fact you get a free lunch at work, like a lot of people do. But I just think that I guess it's a lot of cutting costs in some way or another, because I'm sure it would be quite expensive to feed, well, like a whole office.
The thing is, like, we know people that also run catering for corporate and stuff, and it's overly complicated.
Yeah, like, so there'll be a salad now, like, instead of just
don't
sweet
tell me
potato.
that lentils with 13 different ingredients is going to be more cost effective than just giving someone some Baz-Maz.
Yeah, like, just give some, like, exactly what, like, Chipotle does, which they redid the whole menu, and it's just like, there's some rice, there's some veg. Okay, they have got some additional
Please
sauces.
tell me, how is that going to be less cost effective?
Well, that's what I said, like, exactly what my client said. She's like, why do I need to have sweet potato salad with chickpeas, goat cheese? Do you know what I mean? Like, she's like,
I think that's because the catering and the recipes are all formulated by dietitians.
No, they're never formulated by dietitians in offices.
Which one's the profession that's a bit all over the place when it comes to nutritional information?
No, but they wouldn't be doing that in an office. There would be a catering company that would take that, and you just hope you'd hired a catering company that had some sort of health initiative to some degree. But then all these health catering companies are part of the problem because there's like 1,000 ingredients to everything. You do just take, like, a new potato roasted.
Hypothetically, if you were going to run a corporation's nutrition, what would you have as?
I mean, it depends if the food was, like, free for the corporation or not. Otherwise, you're probably just losing bet because most people would go out. But like, you would stick quite simple. Like, everybody loves to build something. Do you know what I mean? Build your own box, but have it, like, realistic. Like, okay, like, this person likes eating fish, this person likes tofu, this person likes chicken, this person likes beef. Keep it simple. They're, like, grilled. Do you know what I mean? Nothing too fucking out there. Seasoned, obviously. We're not dry cunts, but, like, then you'd go to your carbs, you'd move it down like a school fucking canteen, and it would like yeah, and you'd say, right, what, rice, new potatoes.
So almost like it's kind of like a hotel buffet.
Do you want a
sort of
tortilla
vibe.
wrap? Like, you know, and you don't do it based off of, oh, we're going to make you a pizza and just guess the amount and just throw it on there. It's none of that. It just has to be build your own, but it's done based off actual good portion sizes, because most places give you like 2 shredded bits of chicken, do you know what I mean? And then the rest is like
That would be
100 grams
cost,
of
but
avocado.
that would not be cost effective if you were to give people
I just don't.
the protein amounts that they require.
But yes, but who requires that? Your average general population.
I would say
could be
most
eating
people need about
0.8.
30 grams in that meal, surely.
Well, yes, but like, for example, like most your general population probably, you know, could sit as low as 0.8 grams per kilo body weight of protein. You know, when you up people to the levels of when you like you want to see muscle growth, or you want to see, you know what I mean, you want to improve your body composition, then obviously that it does require a higher amount of protein. I think your average amount, like even just giving somebody 120 grams, like I would say that, you know, like building a meal would actually maybe teach somebody something as well in some way or another, rather than getting like a mix together, or like, you know, the box that they've decided, or I don't know, like I think it's one of those things that I don't want to dismiss. I absolutely love, I've always loved, you know, experimenting with food and enjoying food, but I do just think that like it's one of the biggest issues is restaurant on the go food at the moment for people. Like, it's just so accessible, and forget that, more delivery. So many people deliver
I think
things.
more people are just generally not cooking their own meals. And I feel like people
not moving.
are allowing people to cook for them, whether that's a Deliveroo, whether that's a restaurant, whether that's on the go. And it is having an impact, because when people cook for you, people are cooking for taste. People are not cooking
Yeah, but
for any other reason apart from making you happy.
Guess what happens when we as a nation get fatter and fatter and fatter? Our taste becomes diminished. So it works in the opposite way, because you pleasure yourself so fucking much with food.
And they have been
when you're
showing
overweight, you know,
with
I used to do that. I used to eat.
studies and children as well, where the younger generations palate for food is drastically changing, because more and more of the younger generation have access to hyper palatable foods that then corrodes their desires for just normal shit.
I'd say that, like, I did that probably at the age of when people are doing it now, like, you know, probably like 10, 11, 12, you know what I mean? Like, you know, okay, maybe not, obviously, I guess that's when you go to like secondary school, or, you know, high school, or wherever you're from. But I specifically remember, like, I couldn't just have like one family size bar of Galaxy. I had to have like 5, you know, like when I was overweight. And it's because nothing ever really satisfied me, because what happens when it's the same as something like gambling, alcoholism, drug addiction, like it's exactly the same in all, you know, when you action a certain behavior repeatedly for pleasure, you know, imagine you've got like a 30 centimeter ruler. This is the best way of describing it. And that's your doping fix, and it runs really well. And you're like, oh, this is great. Do you know what I mean? That just shortens. The ruler then becomes like, you know, 26, then 24, then 22, then 20. And it starts to effectively diminish your actual pleasure from the food. So you end up eating more to try and seek that pleasure, only to just never really be able to find it, because you've effectively just shorted. The chemical messengers just don't function the same as, I guess, you're an average person. So, you know, that's why, you know, when you become overweight, and then it can get really progressively worse. Like, that's what happened to me. I became quite overweight. Like, I was quite a big, and then it went on, and that's because like I kept on trying to seek, you know, like more and more pleasure from food. Like, when I was low, when I was stressed, when I was happy, it was always food, and I just couldn't pleasure myself enough with it. And so you end up eating more, and I just piled on weight. I remember like the last probably 30 kilos of where I got to before I started losing weight it was quick. It was really quick. Like maybe like a year and a half, no less. Maybe even less than that.
Wow.
So, you know, it's one of those things where you can very quickly adapt, you know. So it's better to I guess, break that cycle early on, but it's also good to understand it as to like what it's actually really doing to your body. And I do think, you know, that there has to, like you were saying, that people like to take the path of the least resistance. But I just struggle to like believe that like that really is where we've got to. You know,
It's
no, of course
human
it
nature.
is. But like,
It's
but
not
when
just
in World
human
War
nature,
II
it
did they
is-
take the path with the least resistance? You know what I mean? When they have to try, you've got no choice but to do things, and now you have a choice.
Yeah, that's slightly different.
Adults are like babies. Do you know what I mean? Like we actually should be like baby. We should actually be looked after. Do you know what I mean? And managed. Sometimes I say to you that we're like sometimes like an adult minder.
We're getting to that point where we will have people, that will be a job.
Oh my god,
It'll
yeah.
be, you will be
You kind of
hired
already
to
have
be
it.
the parents of grown adults.
To like actually bring them to structure and to be told like don't be.
Tell them to. You'll live with them, and you'll be like, I told you it's 11 p.m. Turn the lights off. Go
Yeah,
to
but
bed.
then- But it's the same as when you're a child. Like when my mum was like, if I didn't like to eat
Come on,
something,
eat your
which I was
vegetables.
never a picky eater.
If you don't eat your food, you're not getting dessert. There
I
you
never
go.
got
Eat your
dessert at
chicken
home.
breast. Come on.
I never got dessert at home. That was diet culture 101.
Oh, Jane, just whipping.
Joking, she
Whipping you in the kitchen.
No, because I used to literally like go and find it though in the secret hours. I remember this time where like, you know, those Marks and Spencer's like mini tubs. And like my mum and dad, like again, like great for children because I know children will reach for it if they've got the access to, and now even more so. So you should be putting things like at higher levels. But I remember my mum and dad always used to, it was always like the naughty shelf. You know what I mean? Which was like full of, you know, my dad's chocolate raisins, like, and my dad used to like ferrule away things, like, do you know what I mean? He'd go into his own room and just like sit with like, you know, a ramekin of like chocolate raisins and like siphon them away and never let anyone know until you found the wrappers down the side of the sofa.
And that's where we developed our stash.
Yeah,
from.
and this is why I used to fucking bitch. Like literally, where did you think I got all the hiding shit from? Like, because I used to eat wrappers and then hide it. I never used to eat in front of people, like excessive amounts ever.
So basically, what you're saying is you're blaming your father.
No, but you can see how those behaviours become almost normal to see. Like, oh, okay, he's eating something naughty. We must hide it. You know that thing, like, oh, like, you know, oh, I'm having a picnic. Oh,
It's so stressful. Why
must
you
shove that in my
having
mouth
children?
quickly.
Because he probably doesn't even know that was the case.
No, absolutely not. He's got probably no understanding of that at all. But, you know, you wonder why also, I think, as a fat person, I always remember this, I never wanted to buy food that people would say, that's the reason why she's fat in front of them. So, like, I, like, very much limited, and I still, like, I swear I still have it slightly imprinted in my brain. Like, you know, when you're like, oh, actually, I'm going to have some chocolate. And to me now, I just eat chocolate regularly, I eat what I want, like, when I want, within reason. But sometimes you think, oh, like, is this, like, good or bad food? I think sometimes you can run through your head if you've been brought up in a way that things are
You can't
good
escape
or
it.
bad. You can't escape that brain, which is probably a good thing, to be quite honest with you, in some way or another. Not in the sense of like understanding that you shouldn't necessarily be consuming it, you know what I mean, frequently, and having that understanding more so. But yeah, I mean, I remember having those M&S tubs, and I just it was the first time they launched like the orange cream mini rolls. Oh, and I took them all up to my room and I ate all of them. And then I put obviously like leaving like 2, and I put them back. And I remember my mum was like, who ate them? And I just was sat there like, it wasn't me. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't me. Obviously my sister would never have eaten something like that. And my mum was like, you're not leaving the house till tell me. And I was like, oh, fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? And I literally just couldn't say that I'd literally wolfed down like 3 mini tubs from M&S of like chocolate. But the thing is, because in my day-to-day routine, I was never really around it. And when I used to get like pocket money as a child, or when I used to, you know, even into teenage years, and you're getting your allowance or whatever, like I just used to spend it all on food, all of it.
Good.
And so what I'm
Well
saying
done.
is that my case was probably quite rare, like 15 years ago. You know what I mean? But now I feel like we see it all the time. Like when we see like kids on the way to school, or they've gone into like the corner shop after school, or
I
whatever,
will see
and
a
they literally
parent
buy.
quite literally feed a child a donut at 9 a.m. in the morning. It's more like a 5-year-old and not bat an eyelid.
Yeah, because obviously there is that thing of like you just want to
Do you
make.
remember we saw that one child that was must have been 10 years old, and he was so, again, I sound very judgmental, but again, this is just an observation. The child was so obese that he couldn't get onto the tube seat.
And that's like
Do you remember
that's like
seeing that?
actually
And then
criminal
they sat
behaviour, in my
down, and then they
opinion.
were like, "Right, Johnny, now's time to eat some chocolate. What was it? Cookies."
It's like that's almost like the same as starving your child, in my opinion. Like you're literally opening them up to
Almost
be
like
like very
abuse, yeah.
unwell in very very short period of time. Like you are shortening their life. Like I understand, like at that age, my God. And I do see it more and more. But like now I see like, so I was like an obese daughter in a non-obese family, but like now I see like obese family and obese children, and so like that is really quite worrying because
That's going to be an almost impossible cycle to break, because your
some people are in such denial as
environment
well.
is so.
And that's what upsets me the most about our industry currently, like kind of like trying to put people into these fucking brackets of like, right, you got to, if you're really overweight, you got to focus on your gut health. What? Like if you actually think your gut health is adequate when you've got excessive amounts of body fat on you, like all that's information 101. Don't think your gut's going to be in the
But
best, most
remember, you got to
optimal.
remember that narrative then is being pushed by certain individuals that
Loads of individuals
neg-
are. A lot of like, a lot of dietitians based, a lot of nutritionists, if they've got no common sense, like are exactly the same. Like, if you've
is
actually
that
just like never, I do
are
find
you
there's like
being
half the
serious?
world of
Because
nutritionists is like,
again, I try not pay any attention. So you're telling me that the first intervention is to rectify your gut health, even
no,
if
but I
you're.
see it all the time. Like if they upload what they eat or like how they do it, or it's always like complex X. Do you know what I mean? To produce this, blah blah. You're like just complicating shit for people. Like you don't need to have
Yeah,
sprouts on your. You know what I mean? To it's like
yeah, but that's
just
what
eat
I'm trying to
something of
say is
moderate.
like when we was trying to ask you about, is it a dietitian or a nutritionist that gives out majoring in the minors, where everyone's like, right, guys, we're going to talk about sulforaphane and how it's going to help you. And it's like, okay, that is a micronutrient, that is down the hierarchy of chains when it comes to making actual metabolic adaptations.
Yeah, but and that's what I'm saying.
And
It's
then
like
we'll
one
sell
brick
you,
wall. It's like
yeah,
building a
and
house in
sell you a
front of
DNA
somebody, but not giving
test
them the
to
key.
then quantify your. Oh, and whilst you're there, we'll give you a glucose monitor.
That's why like a food diary like is I say like tracking is like a food diary, but it's just a more accurate one because food diary. It's like I had again, you know what I mean, like salmon, do you know what I mean, rice, like salad, and then I had a cup of tea. And you're like, okay, so what was in the salad? Oh, well, there was also feta, croutons, like the whole list. You're like, okay, well, there's quite a big difference there between eating just salmon, rice and some salad, do you know what I mean, to I've had a complex salad. So that's why, tracking is so important because you can miss out those factors and you almost end up beating yourself up about it because you're like, oh my God, why can't I lose weight? Why have I not lost weight? I'm eating so well. Like, and then you start to be like, oh, fuck it, I'm not going to eat well because why am I eating well and putting on weight? And that's the thing that people end up in that cycle where they're like, well, this doesn't work. And it's because of the actual energy intake and also energy output. So many people rely on a gym session or an exercise class or to bring home their results. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. It's like the smallest part of the of the cake, you could say. Like literally, it's the cherry on the
No
top.
matter how many times we try and remind people that that is the case, it just doesn't seem to be a narrative that people are interested in entertaining.
Look, you've got to see like returns for your investment when you exercise. I get that. The same as when we take clients on who come from a background of maybe doing like Barry's once a week, spin, Pilates, do you know what I mean? And like they'll start like a structured strength training program. And the first thing they'll say is like, you know what, it's just so amazing to have actual structure because I feel like I can actually progress towards something. And every time I went in the class, it was just like, just do it again, just do it again. And I started to get really quite bored that I couldn't really, what are you going to progress to when you've got to do 95 reps under, in a minute? Like you can't really progress. So that's one of those things where I feel, and also there's such a heavy amount in classes of like the calorie burn on activity trackers, which is also a human thing, which is like oh my goodness, look, I've burnt so many
I
calories.
guess it is quite it's not it is quantifiable. It doesn't mean it's accurate, but it is quantifiable that then makes you, because again, it's like running. It's a very easy metric. It's an easy buy-in to increase intensity. So if people work relatively hard and then they have a metric that gives them that,
They can get 5,
association, then it's a very easy buy-in to be like, oh, this was more of value, more value than. Because I guess if it's that, again, training to burn X amount of calories is a bit of a weird thing to do. But if it keeps that person slightly more consistent and adherent, then is it a bad thing?
No, but I did see it being a bad thing in COVID. I saw it a really bad thing because everybody was like, oh my God, look at my activity tracker. Guys, I've done 6 classes already and it's like literally only 9 a.m.
That was Courtney Black being weird.
No, that was not cool. That was everybody.
Oh,
throughout COVID, some people were training, like, I specifically remember there's like 3-4 times a day.
Oh, yeah, you.
Fucking me, because I had to do all the classes.
Yeah, 2 a day.
Yeah, but nobody was necessarily doing it with me. It was all different people. Oh my God, I was literally broken.
Plus your own training.
I don't know if I even did my own training in COVID, did I? Yeah, I probably did. I can't remember. I wasn't in the best nick then. Fuck, that was miserable.
You just demonstrated and I just screamed down
the mic, hi guys, we're back again. It would just be like, why are we still, how many years later? Literally, like, how many years later? But I can't believe that's nearly 5 years. It was 4 years ago. What?
First lockdown, people were so gassed for lockdown.
Oh my God, they were like, fuck yes, I can literally invest my whole life into self-care.
Yes.
And then the second one came, they were like, really? Yeah. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, kind of getting over this Peloton that sat in my fucking lounge, do you know what I mean? And then by the third, it was like, right, that's it. The Peloton's going on Facebook Marketplace. Like, literally, like, I hate myself. Where's the bottle of wine? You know what I mean? There's a cheese board every night and let's just get on it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Literally. But, like, I had friends who, like, genuinely, when they were with their partners, they would get fully on it. They would have, like, a full, like, 3-course meal, loads of drink, do you know what I mean? On just, like, your average Tuesday. And they did it repetitively. That's probably why they came out the other side not in the best way, to be quite honest with you. But, a lot of people that are dealing with, like, weight loss now, like, or trying to lose weight now, it all came from COVID. Yes. All of it. Yeah. And I think since then, that whole, like, I don't think anybody's really, some people have come to tell, we've all just glazed over it, pushed forward. Well, some more than others. But, it has done absolute awful things to our metabolic health as really bad. Like, because clients of mine still who used to walk like 12,000 steps a day.
Yeah, but it is the people that were commuting to work and working in the office 5 times a week were expending more energy doing certain elements than just working from home and being sat on your arse. So that has had a negative impact on people's metabolic rates, and then environment and food availability for people working at home.
I think it's one of those, it's a combination where like environment's also another one. 2 things that always come into play, as we were talking about the other day, was like emotions and environment. Specifically with women, emotions are going to come in probably a lot more because of hormonal fluctuations throughout a process. You've always got to expect there's going to be moments throughout, but environment is literally everything. If you're putting yourself in situations where you can't control, like either what you intake or like what you drink or whatever, that is a problem. And I've said this before, it's hard to be like, oh well, I'm not going to hang out there, but then you almost have to have a bit more self-control. Like, you need to say, well, I've noticed that I don't eat the best, or I overeat, or I'm encouraged to eat extra, or like to go these places when I'm with X, Y, and Z. Okay, so next time, like, how can I maybe make this a little bit easier for myself? Because I really want to lose weight. Like, I've got to show some self-control. Like, does that mean that, we go, instead of like going to a restaurant to eat and to drink, do you know what I mean? Does it mean that we oh, it sounds so boring, but like, do we go to a fitness class and then have like some breakfast, but keep it controlled, know where you're going, you know what I mean? And like pick wisely. Or it could be, let's go for a walk and like, catch up with a coffee. Like instead
I
it's
just
like,
don't think people are interested in socializing like that. Do you know
no,
what I
I'm
mean?
absolutely not. You want to go and sit and you want to eat great food, but you almost feel like you deserve it, which is also a bit weird. Like we all deserve to
People
eat food.
will say
that's
to
why
you,
we're
but I've
alive.
worked hard the whole week. I've been
I
very
need to
stressed
reward
out.
myself.
When it comes round to the weekend, I want to go out with my mates. I want to have a few beers, and I want to,
Can I be really honest with you?
I want to have.
I listen to that and I say, okay, well, could you take an example of like, let's say like your day-to-day routine as like a London like trainer or nutritionist, do you know what I mean? Where you literally have to deal with so many people, so many environments, you're always fucking everywhere, do you know what I mean? You've got to do a lot every week and it's always, like we're having a discussion, like how many people go into a corporate job, very few by the way, because we know the stats, that actually put 100% of their capacity into their work. You see, when you're paid like we are, or like we work with the way that we work, you've got to be very fucking switched on for a long period of time consistently because it's a different client or it's another one, you know what I mean? And I just really struggle to believe that, yeah, people can be shitty, do you know what I mean? People can be really shitty. We also get it. But how much harder is your week than somebody else's week? Yes, okay, I'm just talking about the corporate work. I'm not saying with the kids and this and that. That's very different. But if you want to have, do you know how many people I speak to before they start something and they say, I just want to have more energy to be around the kids and to be able to pick up the kids and to spend so much time with them on the weekend and not feel like I'm deflated. But then more like on a Friday, like go and have like 2 bottles of wine, do you know what I mean? And wake up hungover for the child, then, oh God, we've got to, what are we going to eat? Oh, it's that whole chase, to get things. And I just think it's not a great reflection, especially for the children growing up, to be quite honest with you. But I just struggled to see, like, yeah, okay, everyone wants to unwind. We've all got our ways of unwinding. But I think equally said, okay, there are anomalies to this. Take like a junior doctor, a doctor, an A&E, a police officer or whatever, who's literally routines all over the fucking show, and is hectic and is shift work. I'm not saying that, but in your average corporate job, I'm sorry, like, yeah, Sandra might have pissed you off, or like fucking Dave's on you about not performing, but maybe you perform better if you didn't go and fucking get on the lash every weekend. Sorry.
Yeah. Or maybe you would perform better if you had loads of energy and a little bit more confidence in yourself because, you've been able to achieve some, things that you set out to achieve with regards to your health and your self-care.
Yeah, so speaking to one of my clients, she was like, oh, we've just fired somebody. Like, obviously, she's really quite senior. And I said, oh, why? It's just like not performing. And obviously, in certain jobs, if they don't perform, they don't, you're fired. And I said, oh, in what sense? She said, oh, not just the business sense, just the fact that you just sat there like fucking not giving a fuck, really. Do you know what I mean? And you're in a really highly paid job, which somebody else is probably gagging to get in a very, very well-known, company. And like she was just like, and that comes from the fact that like all they do is like she sees it the same as other clients said this to us, like men that just sit there and just have like a Red Bull at like fucking 9 a.m. and like what was that thing you said the other day, like a Rustler's like burger?
No, Rustler burger.
Like like a fucking real
no,
like.
I don't believe people actually eat those.
Oh my God, do they?
I don't.
Why do you think Greggs is one of the most popular places? That's
Greggs
very
is
similar.
different. Greggs is a Rustler is a hamburger in a bag that is put.
Anyone that
on
eats
the
a
shelf.
chicken sandwich from a corner shop also needs to question themselves, unless it's a
I
delicacy.
kind of like, man, you can close your eyes and make the assumption that it was made that day, but also like a hamburger in a bag that is sat on the shelf indefinitely that you take and put in your mouth.
Oh, what were those things?
Those kind of people need to go on a list.
On a list. Oh my God! If you listen to this, you're on a list.
Yeah.
The Rustler list.
Yeah, you.
What were those things? Those little chicken bites that people used to knobs. No. Oh my God! They were like a bag. Fridge Ragers that were bags of like chicken that was like highly like. Oh my God, it was gross. It was like opening up a packet of like little chodes. It was like, oh my God, the worst thing you could possibly imagine in the look. So many people just like snack on that, like people that snack on a pepperami. What?
Biltong, I kind of get that. Pepperami. I kind of get it. You could be Spanish.
No, that's different. That's chorizo. That's not
Yeah.
pepperoni. Oh my
No, but I'm
God.
saying Spanish people eat loads
Eat chorizo.
chorizo. They eat loads of different
Chorizo.
types of sausages and cold meats and
Yeah, like
so
a
on
nice
and so
like
forth.
biltong stick, great. But like a pepperoni, you joking? That's like that almost looks like it's come out the end of something like
or those things that Dilbert used to eat.
fish sticks. Oh my
Mm.
God, yeah. Ooh, the smell of that. I once had a housemate that used to eat those as well. You leave all the wrappers everywhere. Fucking gross. There are things that people do say, but I think people would find
he would eat
biltongs
like
weird.
4
So.
fish sticks and then drink a nourishment before going to the gym.
How would you not shit yourself? Is the
It's like
question.
50 grams of the highest GI carbohydrates in those nourishments.
Yeah, because those are for people that have really bad, well, are malnourished, not Dylan. No, actually, Dylan's far from malnourished. Sure. But that was your quickest way of protein,
I
surely.
used to love one.
Did they have like? Did they have the ones with protein in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
not
used to
just
get
the
them at Tesco's. That used to be literally on the walking to the gym, fish sticks and nourishment.
That is actually not okay. But he is also the guy that eats what, like
Scrambled eggs
yeah,
with like no salt, no pepper, just scrambled.
rubber.
Rice,
Yeah,
right? Boil rice.
egg fried rice.
No, not egg fried rice. Rice by itself, no sauce, sauceless.
Sauceless egg fried rice.
Rice,
And that's why Dylan's got like a
scrambilos,
6-pack all
and
around.
veg and Angela, to be fair, the dude's shredded.
That's the reason why, because he's got clearly no taste.
And,
Literally.
yeah, but to be fair, he's like, you could, how many times have you cooked for him and he literally goes, oh my God, Georgia, oh my God, that was literally the
best meal I've ever eaten.
And it's like, you say that all the time,
Oh,
Dylan.
thanks, Mark. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I'm
That's
just
clearly I
saying,
can't
because
cook.
his taste buds are so, he is team sauceless. Between him and Raymond, I
You're
don't
not
know,
sauceless, Christ.
I'm team the opposite.
Yeah, no, it's a problem. But you wouldn't have like excessive amounts of gravy. Like, there's people that eat like gravy with like bread and shit. Like, what? There are some questionable things.
We
that I do
watched that program on KFC. Do you remember
Yeah,
that
but
one?
great. But that's with
They
fried.
sold like 200 liters of gravy a day or something.
That's that. But then I saw how they made that as well, and I was like, oh my God, that's actually gross.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not necessarily like the thing that it is. It's just like what it looks like. Like you just look at it and you think, oh my God, that doesn't look appetizing, does it?
Sometimes you gotta just try it though. Do you know what I mean? Like,
But why? Why do you need to try it?
well, you tell me. You're the one who ate bugs and things when you travelled in Asia.
Oh, Mark, because I was a fucking like crack addict. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think I'd spent all my money on just getting completely off my tits half the time. That I literally said to you, because we're going to Thailand in how long? 3 weeks or something. 3 weeks we'll be in Thailand.
18 days.
18. Is it still 18 days?
Yeah,
Remember?
today's the 10th and we leave on the 28th.
Okay, 18. Is that the right maths? 18. Yeah, okay. 18, 18 days. So we obviously we quite like watching YouTube things of people that have explored like places in Thailand, or like you find like the local places, or that's how we found like some of the tours, like food tours.
We
were
watch
going
so
on and
much
stuff.
of the tourist destination that when you get there, it leaves nothing to the imagination.
Absolutely nothing.
You're like, I know
'cause we
exactly
literally-
where I am because
But
I've
we'll still
watched.
walk around in fucking circles for like 25,000 steps and not decide what to eat. And that's why we're going on food tours, so somebody forces us to say, because myself and Mark will go, Mark and myself, Mark and me,
Mark and I.
there we go. We'll go to a city on a city break, and we will, barring like the one reservation we make, we will walk around the whole city going, oh, that looks a nice place. Yeah, we'll come back there, let's see if there's something better up there. Oh, that looks nice. No, we'll come back, we'll go over something else. And you literally end up going around the whole city, we're not eating anything, and you end up in like the shittest cafe with like
No, we should go back. And you're
We
like,
should go-
oh,
oh my
we're
God.
about 16 kilometers away from the
And you
one
end up in
place.
the first
And then you
place
go
having, like-
all the way back round, having let's go to this place for breakfast, and then you go you come back to the same place for dinner, and it's shit.
Our client Monica is like the best person if you ever want to go on a trip. Like, she literally is like the most organized person for a trip you will ever imagine. Like, when I say like that girl knows how to work a spreadsheet, my God, like from every time to every restaurant, it's booked in advance, it's sorted, it's like organised, you know the time, you know where you're going, the museum tickets are booked, this is booked, that, and I'm just like, fuck, I wish I was like that.
I wish I've never had friends like that.
I know, because it'd be so useful. The girls' groups are so shit, aren't they? It's like, who's
Some
going to
people
pay
are
for it?
just
Oh,
so
one of...
oh,
Do you remember we used to go to our friends and it'd be like, who's paying for it? Oh, look, Mark and Georgia. It just goes on our card. Great. No worries, guys. Pay us back when you can. Never
wink,
again.
wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. It's like, we'll get you the drinks. Yeah, okay, cool. Like,
Sure.
literally.
Next
We've just
time.
paid 700 quid for a table. Like, literally.
Don't
like,
worry about it.
one Diet Coke.
No, please, can you get the Uber home?
Yeah, literally.
Oh, no, you want to split it? Okay.
Okay, yeah, you want to
worry.
split the Uber. When somebody's like, let's split the Uber, you just know.
Don't worry about it. I've just spent $4,000. Just don't
Literally,
worry.
my credit card's screaming at me.
Yeah.
It does happen though. If you'd have Monica in a group, she's so organised,
Yeah,
crazy.
I'm very keen to do a group holiday, and she can arrange it.
She can arrange the holiday. Yeah, we'll just arrive. Like literally.
Oh, that's
I wish,
the best,
but we've tried our best
honestly.
with this Thailand trip. We have.
Yeah,
Like we've
channel
said, like
Anna
we
Monica
need to
and
know.
try and book shit as much as possible.
Yeah, we really have. We're even going to a head spa. Like we're gonna try one of those viral places that has like the shower over the head. I plan to come out like with the most moisturised scalp. What else have we
Maybe a
got?
head
Booked?
massage.
We've also got a private boat tour because I refuse to go with the group.
Yes.
I just don't like other. I'm sorry, on group tours, a food tour, yes, I think it's far more engaging when you're with other people. Like when we're around like Bangkok and stuff, great. But on a private boat, like on a boat with other people, no, that's where I draw the line. It's like a cruise.
Also, our attention spans are quite limited, so we don't.
I don't like being in one
I'd
place
like
for
to-
ages. I want to be
yeah.
able to be told, like, say, oh, I'd like to go to this island and snorkel there, and not be like
and
limited.
I don't want to be like waiting for somebody else's husband or wife
to try and like
get their
moor
shit
the dinghy
together.
or something because they can't get on board because
Yeah,
they've got
something
like
something
you know.
like that.
So, and also in Thailand, because it's quite touristy Thailand, we're hoping it's not where we're planning on going, it's not too bad because we try to avoid all the main hot spots. But with those boat tours, you can end up like around like a whole like mass population of people.
But
Like,
hopefully I don't get arrested into a Thai prison and thrown away the key because that's
your
what my
mum's-
mother sent me a
your
voice
mum,
note saying.
Mark's mum creates these absolutely like it's almost like comic book worthy. Like
It's a scenario.
it's a scenario, full scenario that something's going to happen when we go away. So this was obviously like a month ago. It was like a few weeks ago. She like sent a message just
I can't find my phone. I would play the voice note.
just say it. Well, I don't really think you should play the voice, but like, it's just saying literally like, you know, don't do this in Thailand, don't do that in Thailand, don't do anything in Thailand. You're gonna get locked up in jail, and like your father can't get out of South Africa at the moment because the passport's in processing. And how are you expecting me to fly all the way to Thailand? I'm 70 years old, like literally, like. And she just went on and on that Mark was going to be locked in a jail because he was going to Thailand. And obviously, people think Thailand's really strict, which it is, but certain parts not so much now. Which is weird. It is weird that Thailand, out of all places, is actually quite liberal on certain things now.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was absolutely hilarious. Hopefully, Mark doesn't get arrested.
Yeah. Hopefully.
We were actually trying to work out, like, 'cause it's like, do you need like vaccination? Do you need vaccinations? Are we gonna die? And we were like googling it, and then we like messaged somebody else that was in Thailand, didn't we?
Supposedly, if you have yellow fever and different types of like tetanus and stuff, if you have had an administration of those types of vaccines, they generally have a lifetime coverage. That's what I
Let's
read.
fucking hope, because we've got some travel
Because
insurance.
you've been to Thailand, I've been to Thailand, so essentially we would have had the vaccinations prior to going.
True.
So
Well,
we should be fine.
yeah, let's just hope, everyone. If not, I'll be in hospital with yellow fever.
Tetanus is the thing that I would be most worried about.
Oh, I hope I don't come back and adopt a dog. Maybe I will.
Rabies, because if you get rabies, that's a 99% chance of dying.
You know me, I would probably touch someone with rabies. But yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be absolutely lovely. Thailand is, but yeah, YouTube has been our little godsend of watching things in depth, knowing all of the places that we're probably unlikely to, we're probably going to walk past and not go in.
Yeah, go past or just walk past it.
Yeah, literally can't wait. Anyway, guys, that was a little bit of a chit chat for today, all about kind of diet and nutrition. The next one we do will be about training. But yeah, good to be back on the microphone, just talking your ear off. So you're welcome. You're so welcome. You can tip us if you want.
Or just leave us a comment.
There's
Not
no
a
way to
comment,
comment.
but a review would be
No,
nice.
we don't need to review unless it's 5 stars. We only ever
Yeah,
ask for
shout out
5
to
stars.
Doug. Doug, you said you were going to write us a review. Please can you do so right now? Thank you.
No, you probably did fine. Yeah, no, 5 stars only though. Don't even try. You know, there's people that are like, so great, the most superb time away, 4 stars. What? Like,
Don't be that person.
don't be that person. It does actually bring the rating down. Somebody did that to
Yeah,
us the other
don't do
day.
a 4-star. Do a 5. There's no point in doing 4.
I just
You may
don't
as
think
well
people
just do
expect me to
5.
swear on this, to be quite honest with you. That's probably why we get poor ratings occasionally. Oh well, can't help my mouth. Some people enjoy it. Anyway, that's enough for this fine raining April day in the UK.
Hump day, as some people
We'll
would
try and
say.
get another one out before we go away.
Maybe we should do one in Thailand,
Oh, for fuck's sake, Mark, don't be so ridiculous.
in the rainforest,
We're not going to the rainforest.
after we've had a real romantic getaway.
Mark's hoping that we're going to hold hands the whole trip. And I'm like, it's the sweatiest place on earth. Don't think you're coming anywhere close to me. Oh my God, did you actually just make that noise in the microphone?
Yeah, I could be full on,
No, what?
just
Full on fuckery, yeah. Yeah, Mark I don't want to know what goes through Mark's head sometimes. I don't think it would be allowed to be even
R-rated,
R-rated.
Yeah.
18, X-rated.
X-rated.
X-rated, not
Past
R.
12.
Only 12? You
No,
sure?
past 12 o'clock at night.
Oh, I thought 12 years old. I was like, are you okay? Like, literally, I was like, that's fucking questionable.
No, I'd be...
Maybe you should be on the list. Like,
No,
literally.
past 12 o'clock at night.
12 o'clock at night. But
Mm.
you're never awake at 12. When was the last time you saw midnight when you need to go for a wee or you had bad digestion and need to like throw up?
No, it was not
When
midnight.
Mark ate, oh my God, when Mark ate too much. Because Mark loves what? Chiz.
Cheese.
He
I
loves
used to never,
cheese.
never used to eat cheese, but now I'm...
Yeah, you're like, should we get some oatcakes and some cheese? I'm like, Mark, for fuck's sake. Like, honestly, like, this is so calorie dense, I cannot. Like, literally. And I wouldn't say I'm like intolerant to things, but I think some things mixed together in my stomach don't work.
yeah.
And one thing that doesn't work is hard cheese and a ice cream base. And the other week, Mark ate that. He was so ill.
with like...
But you didn't just eat a little bit, did you? You just
No.
fucking decided to go all in, and you were
Yeah.
literally. He was like,
Three-
licked down the toilet.
3 croissants.
It's just excessive when you go overboard, though.
3 croissants.
But men can do this more easily than
2
women.
like bread with quite a bit too much butter.
Oh,
Too
that's
much
the
butter.
worst. The butter
That would
has
have
to be
slowed me
melted.
down
I don't want to see
all
the
the way.
butter.
And then we had venison. We had rich stuff. Loads of rich stuff.
That
and
sounds
loads
so
of
middle
ice
class. Then we
cream.
had some venison
Yeah,
fillets,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then we had
this
some
food.
organic cheeses that
yeah.
were milked from the farms of fucking Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did because we were at my
Imported
parents' house.
from the
Surprise,
south of
surprise.
France, yeah. And that was too much for me.
But Mark, like he just
was
can't
too
eat
much for
because
me.
we just don't eat like that. Although we do, like one of our biggest treats is to do like a cheese pork curry. Mark loves. What have you learned that you love? Wensleydale.
Wensleydale.
And you don't mind an apricot Stilton.
The stuff from Marks and Spencer's.
Oh my God, so basic. Literally the
Yeah,
most
yeah.
basic cheese selection.
Yeah, the other stuff I appreciate, like the stuff your parents pulled out, and it's like I get it. Obviously, the best of the best, but like
Yeah.
half of it looks like it needs to go in the bin.
It's so moldy. It's like, oh, is that okay? Like, what
Yeah,
is
it's
that?
like
Oh, is
fucking-
that? It's not sweating. Why
It's
is
crawling.
cheese meant to
It's
sweat?
almost just trying to crawl off the plate.
Although, like, but then again, because we're not the type of people to really buy like lumps of cheese unless it's like lactose free, like Eataly, or like grated for like some pizzas. And the problem is when you go in and have like really nice cheese, you want to buy like a lump, don't you? What you can just have that in the fridge, and it will literally stink if we don't eat it.
That's too much cheese.
Yeah, but Mark's was like, we're gonna have cheese. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that was just projectile vomiting.
Yeah, just don't mix like heavy cream with cheese. Yeah, there's
I've
the
got my stomach it's such a bitch stomach.
No, not as much as mine at the moment. I just sometimes think yeah, it's one of those. I think it's all to do with hormones. Women are exactly the same. It's like-
Yeah, but like eating too much cheese and then spewing everywhere is...
You're probably really dairy intolerant and you're just ignoring it. Literally, like it's like that's like a probably allergic reaction.
I don't identify as being intolerant.
No, I
don't
physically
see-
cannot. Like, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, like I had a piece of bread and it really upset me. I am aware that certain breads do upset me, and it comes down to like how processed it is. Like if you buy like a shop bought supermarket loaf of like Hovis brown bread, my stomach will be fucked. If you just buy me like, do you know which is the best one? Jason's Bakery, because it's literally only got like 3 ingredients. Something like
sourdough.
Their sourdough, yeah, it's fucking unbelievable. Oh god, I could eat the whole loaf, but something like that. But I have started to eat like less like shop bought breads, because it just really, I don't know, something must have changed in the last year of my life. But yeah, it's not sitting well. But I will not classify myself as like intolerant at anything.
No, I don't
so
like to
limiting. Do you know what I mean?
identify
You
as
don't know. This is what Mark says about all the dietitians and the nutritionists that like get somebody to do a DNA test. What, like, oh, it looks like you can't eat blueberries. Do you know what I mean? Because you're gonna die. What? Like, people get so petrified on an intolerance test that it's like, naturally speaking, if you eat something quite frequently, it's going to come up on a food allergy testing, because it's what you consume and it's what's flagging up. And so they're like, oh, don't eat any of this. Now eat all of this. And then you do another test. And it's like, oh, I'm now intolerant to all of that. Great. I remember doing that. People are like, no, it's fine. Just eat cashew nuts.
Don't eat onions.
Don't eat onions. Well, if you've got IBS, that would be advised. But for the rest of it, you shouldn't really put labels on being intolerant to things. It very much limits your enjoyment of food if you're not needing to be. But
the thing is, how many times do you see people say that they're intolerant when you get people to fill in their forms, and they say that they're intolerant in X, Y, and Z,
God, you
and
do
then
a
their
whole meal
favorite,
structure
and then
for
you
them.
scroll down, and then their favorite foods are the things that they're intolerant to.
No, but also one funny thing is when you like have like a whole in-depth list of I'm allergic to this, I'm allergic to that, blah blah. Okay, right. So this is what I would say you need to be following a nutritional plan. This is the structure. This is what you should be choosing with all your intolerances and your allergic reactions and your digestion. And then you're like, okay, so have you been, you've been keeping up with it? Yeah. No, I decided to sort of just be a bit flexible with it. Do you know what I mean? You go on there tracking it, it's all the food that they've told you that they like won't eat. Do you know what I mean? You're like, oh, okay, like maybe we should change that. Maybe we should actually just go. That's why people say, what I always say is when I nutritionally consult, I'm like, what do you eat on a daily basis? Oh, like salad. I love vegetables. Love fruit. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, white fish in the evening. And I'm like, what do you actually eat? And then it's like, okay, then I have a full devil's fucking chocolate cake. Do you know what I mean? A couple of glasses of wine and a whole packet of cashew nuts. Goodbye. Anyway, on that note, I'll stop waffling.
Yeah,
I will eat a
well
waffle
done.
instead. Okay. All right. Bye, everyone.
We need to go and get the waffle machine fired
We
up.
did actually buy a waffle machine for £15 and it's been used enough. I'd
3
say.
times, 4 times.
4 times. Maybe we'll use it now.
Yeah.
Anyway, bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye,
Speak
bye,
soon.
bye.